Afternoon everybody, Rich here, back for another video for the Diecast F1 review, and here today is the Benetton Renault B197 from the 1997 Formula 1 World Championship, and in the car is Jean Alesi. Now the B197 started the 1997 season as a relative favourite for the season. The car was fast through testing, and Gerhard Berger in the other car was considered a championship contender. But as the season got underway, it was clear to say the Benetton was not really much better than the previous year's car. Although more reliable and faster on some circuits, the car was a relative dud. It only won victory throughout the season, and that came at the German Grand Prix thanks to Gerhard Berger. But Gerhard's season was a bit in turmoil as well, as he had to miss, I think it was 3 races or 2 races due to illness. So Alexander Wurz took his place for those races, and showed the world what he could do in this car. But like I said, the car was still, although not as competitive as what is expected, it was still good enough for third in the Constructors' Championship. Nowhere near the pace of the Williams or Ferraris, but good enough to hold off the threat of McLaren, who were on an upsurge but still relatively useless in terms of reliability. Sort of sounds familiar. But like I said, one victory throughout the season, a ton of podiums, but also a lot of driving errors on Alesi's side. Gerhard Berger as well, showing that he's not cut out for modern Formula 1, and he bowed out at the end of the season just as Formula 1 was going through a change of regulations to the narrow tracked groove tyres era. I don't think Gerhard would have got on too well with those cars anyway. But Alesi showed signs of speed with pole position at the Italian Grand Prix, as well as relatively good drives at showing his idiocy at the, well, I'll not really say idiocy, but lack of common sense really at the Australian Grand Prix. I could be wrong, it could have been a communication error, I don't know, I haven't read fully into it, but he was leading the race in Australia, but ran out of fuel as he sort of ignored or couldn't hear the pit request, and pulled to the side of the track. And Murray Walker giving the famous words that, "Oh Jean, you may well look worried." But sort of summed up the season for Benetton really. But on terms with the 96 car, as in looks, it is a real beauty, as you can see. Plenty of blue, plenty of white, and plenty of other colours as well, as part of the Mild 7 sponsorship continued. And it was really the last Benetton to have this sort of glary livery, as the 98 car went on with a more conservative livery and followed through to 99 and 2000. But it definitely won the looks category as well, along with the Jordan and the McLaren. The car really did look, well, it was really a looker. But the season ultimately ended third place in the Constructors' Championship, like I said, but things could have been so much better, but a lack of development, and well, say lack of development is I think with the loss of Ross Brawn and Rory Byrne, things didn't really improve as they disappeared to Ferrari. But never mind. Onto the model itself. It is a typical Minichamps model, 118 of course, as I don't do anything other scales apart from this. And have a quick look around the car. An absolute stunner. I've got a bit more natural light today. It is January I think it's the 4th today, isn't it? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, the 4th of January today, and we got light outside, although it's starting to get dark now. We have a quick look around the car. I don't know if the camera's doing it justice, but the blue is a bit lighter than, well, the light blue is a bit lighter and the dark blue is a bit darker. It don't really show too well on this camera, or in the viewfinder at least. But if a quick look over the car, you can see all the sponsorship logos, all of the glary colours on the rear of the car. Always a fan of the Benetton stripes on the rear. And does show that this car needs a clean as well, a bit dusty. And look around there. Now we get down to some more of the detail. We'll have a quick look in the cockpit. So I turn the car around, and as typical with Jean Alesi, we have the round steering wheel. And they haven't really done too much detailing with the driver figure on this one. It really just shows how dirty it is. You can really see that this car, the previous owner, had this thing on display, or at least had it out the box for a while. And like I said, the detailing with Alesi's arms are not quite realistic, as Alesi always held the steering wheel up on the top rather than the sides, but really sort of, what was it, 10 to 2 sort of thing rather than 9 and 3. But that's one of those details you never look. But there's plenty of detail on the steering wheel, as well as all the dust and grime that goes on with it. But this car, like I said, previous owner, well, I don't know what he'd done with it, but when I got it, it smelt of loft insulation, so I imagine it was in the loft for quite a while. But it's not a brand new model in my collection. You know, I've had it quite a while. I've had it, I think, about 9 years now, so it's still, a whiff actually. Yes, it still smells a bit loft insulation-y, but at least it's not nicotine-y, which some models have arrived as, and it really does ruin the model. But have a quick look around the car, and it's one of the, of course it's Alesi, it's one of the Benettons with the red dash on the nose, but the red dash has lost a bit, it's actually chipped the paint as well, which is a shame, but one of the Benettons with the red dash on the nose, and very high nose as well, really typical of Benetton at the time. And a really beautiful car in any angle, really. It is a absolute stunner of a car, and strength-wise or detailing-wise, it is quite sturdy. The suspension is a bit loose, as it's sort of the wide track variety of car, but steering's a bit loose. But it's strong enough to hold together. I mean, it's not going to fall apart just by looking at it, but it is something which you should take care of when you're handling one of these things. Barge boards as well are a bit of an issue as well. They're a bit stronger than they are in the previous car, but not too bad. And also the wing mirrors, I think, are the biggest worry on this car. As you can see, they do stand out quite a bit. They are, and they do stick out quite a bit, so they are a bit iffy. But I'm not going to bend them. But they are on there they're quite sturdy on there at the moment. But a slight brush, you know, knock them gently or whatever, they will just snap off. So that is one of those things you have to look out for. And like I said, any angle, this car does look good. And it's, like I said, typical Minichamps model. It comes in a normal Minichamps box, you know, black with the white checkers all over it, so there's no specific box for this model. Although I do believe there is, I'm not sure if it's just the Williams or with the Benetton as well. There's a Renault special edition box as well. It comes in. It's basically the same car, just in a different box. It's blue, I think, with the Benetton colours on, so the red, white, the red, yellow, green, blue stripes on as well. I haven't seen too many of them, but I think there are a few about. Whether that's for 96, I'm not sure, but I think there's one for 97 as well. I'll have to look into it, but we shall see. But here's a quick look over the rear of the car. The colour scheme there, nicely done. Really stunning representation there. So basically, any angle, like I said, this car really does look the business. And go look at the usual rear wing mounts of the Benetton, and it's how most Benettons look with the wavy rear bottom pillar or bottom plane of the rear wing. Benetton Power by Renault. We've got the diffuser, odd shaped looking diffuser actually, with the rather oval shape rather than square which you see on most cars. Do another quick twirl around. Also we've got the white wheel rims as well, which also look good on a Benetton, with the BBS blue. Got the FedEx, Korean Air, also on the front there as well. If we tip the car over onto its side, and don't let it fall over when I do this. So you've got the usual guff on the bottom. You've got the Paul's Model Art brand up there. You've got the Benetton B197 1997 there. It's got the 118 there, and there is no Made in China. This is surprising. Usually they have Made in China somewhere on the bottom, but not on this one. But we'll look underneath the front wing. You can see all the gubbins there. You can see where the decal is applied there, not lined up very well, but of course it's the underside of the nose, so you're not going to worry there. But and also this left side barge board is a bit pissed as well, it's a bit bent there, so you have to detach and reattach somehow there. You can see it's attached, but I think it's just where it's been stressed over the years. It's bent a bit, but never mind. Also got a wibbly aerial there, which is just a bit of plastic. Nothing special there. Got the T-cam on the top, which is another piece of the car which tends to break off, so that's one of those things you've got to watch out for. It's not attached all that well. You can see it's sort of got a gap underneath there. You sort of see there it's not attached all that well, but not a big issue. You can really see the dust on this car as well, but get a good close-up all around. Also got the logos, which I've never really noticed before. Got the kickers on the front wing, not the front wing, the front of the chassis. And on the wing mirrors as well, got the lumps on the top of the chassis there. Down to the nose where my thumb is, got the Benetton there, and all along it's a very nice model altogether. Got the Gillette on the rear wing there as well. Then we just take another look around the car again. We just zoom out and get the what I call the PlayStation 1 view of the car. Whenever you played F197 on the PS1, this is the view you would have got. Although this car is much better looking than the one in the game, and yeah, it really does look an absolute stunner. We just turn around and do the same with that view, the rear view, and yeah, absolutely love this car. It's just a shame that Benetton went the way they did. After 1997, the team took not an instant dive. They did have a pretty good start to 1998, but after the mid-season, the car was no longer up to the standard and pretty much fell off the pace. 1999 was the same. They fell another place, and then a brief resurgence in 2000, but it was all too late as the team was sold to Renault. 2001 was an instant write-off, and then in 2002, of course, the team was rebranded as Renault, and history goes on there. Of course, this year, 2016, will be the return of Renault to Formula 1 as a constructor, and it'll be interesting to see how well they do. I wouldn't say they'll do too well in 2016. I expect it'll be a couple of years before they get themselves up to standard, but who knows, we'll wait and see. But yeah, this model I would definitely recommend. Price wise, it's not relatively expensive. I think there's a couple on eBay at the moment without the box, sort of knocking around about £10 to £15 at bidding price. So, and they've been relisted a few times. So if you want to pick up this car relatively cheap, then by all means have a look on eBay. £10 to £15 without the box. With the box, probably about £30. I'm not sure what that is in euros and dollars, but you can look it up. £30 is probably the top mark for this car. You do see a lot of buy it now at £100, but those are just to say at the eBay shops and that, just not really having an idea on what these cars are worth. But yeah, £30 I'd say is no more. Well, is the top price for this car, whether it's the Alesi or Burger version. And also one to watch out for is this car was rebranded and retired. Well, not retired, but put new tyres on basically for the 98 season. But well, this model at least, it was reproduced as a presentation car, or basically a show car for the 98 season. Basically it's painted in the 98 livery, and with some grooved Bridgestone tyres on it. It looks pretty good, but it's not the actual race car. So I did actually have the show car for a little while. It does look good, because this shape of Benetton really does look the part, but I ultimately sold it, so that went one way. But if you want the actual race car, then you have to look out a bit more. The way to sort of tell the difference, although apart from the width is one thing, another one thing to tell the difference is the 98 car didn't have barge boards on it. It did have red bits here, but they weren't barge boards. They're sort of wings that stuck out to the side like that. That's one thing to look out for if you want the actual 98 car. Of course, apart from the width, and also the 98 car had curved side pods around here rather than the square design there. So if you want the 98 car, have a good old look around first. So we don't want to get the presentation car. But I wouldn't say the presentation car or the show car is a bad car. You know, it's just one of those things. If you want just race cars, then have a good look around. But if you like me and you collect anything, then by all means pick it up. That thing doesn't go for very much either. It's sort of £10 to £15 with or without the box. But yeah, overall, I would say definitely get this car. It is an absolute stunner. It does look good on display. It looks good in its box. It looks good on the shelf. So if you want the car, by all means buy it, and I would recommend it. But that's my review. That's all I have to say. And yeah, I should be. Anyway, this is Rich locking off, disappearing, and I shall return with another review. So bye for now.